Hey, this is John from the Michael Rambo Project. Just wanted to take a little time and make a video and show you the things that I've been working on. Alright, so most of this you can do on a budget. As far as software goes, we're running 3 pieces of software. The first runs on the Apple iPad here, and it's called TouchOSC. You can download that right from the iTunes store. We'll kind of get into what this is doing a little bit later and focus a lot on that. TouchOSC is really just connecting up to what's running on the laptop, which is Ableton Live 8.1. You can download that from their site, get a 30-day trial. The other piece of software running on here live is called Osculator or OSCulator, whichever you'd like to say, and that's connecting up. The thing to my right here is a Nikai APC40, and what that's doing is controlling a lot of the samples and a lot of the mixes. We can control all the audio effects right from here, and you can see I play this live every time we play, but this is not necessarily necessary for what we're doing with TouchOSC, just an added bonus and a great piece of hardware. So let's dive right in and I'll show you what I've been doing with TouchOSC. Alright, so you can see the iPad now running TouchOSC, and TouchOSC basically just has a bunch of different screens in it, and you can edit this to make anything you need. But what I've got is a sequencer, a beat repeat control, audio editing with panning and volume and things like that. On the right here is we'll choose different instruments, and then on the right this is the master volume for all the instruments that come out. And then the other thing here is I called it a nanopad, and I had a Korg nanopad and it broke, but with TouchOSC I was able to recreate it through here, and we can do a lot of the same functions without the XY pad through using TouchOSC. Very easy to do. So under the sequencer, all I've really done, there's a YouTube user whose link is on the bottom here. You can get to that and see the video that he did. He used TouchOSC to make a step sequencer for the iPhone. With the iPad I could double up the instruments, so instead of just the 4 that he had, I jumped up to 8. And so from here I can use these 8 instruments to control more tracks, like an impulse track or anything like that. So if I click play on the APC, you can see it's kicking off a kick for each different thing, and I can add a hat here. Let's turn up the volume so you can hear a little bit. These are all volume controls that weren't synced up, but you can see if I add these up, it'll be volume per track, or per step. I mean, it is 16 steps going right or left to right, and we can do all kinds of different things here. Really nothing too crazy, just a step sequencer. Not spending a lot of time making a decent beat, just showing you what it's doing. Under the beat repeat, we've got all the different things under that would happen on a repeater. So we've got the interval, the offset, the grid, variation, chance, gate, and pitch decay, and I can turn it on with that button there. You can change all this stuff on the fly. I think the more fun one that I've done is audio editing. So really what we've got is a bunch of different instruments that I can control, turn on and off one at a time. This is all, it's way too loud, it just makes a bunch of noise, but I can turn all these off and it won't sequence anything. But if I turn on this instrument, you can hear what that's doing. And this is all using the sequence that we made in the first video here. This is a little more of an acoustic one. I think this one's called Ellington. You can turn on as many or as few of them as you want at a time. The nanopad's not doing anything. Let me show you a little bit about what this is actually hooking up through and doing in Ableton. Alright, so here's an Ableton. TouchOSC is connecting up to this, but basically all we're doing is we're running this loop here that's called Run Me, and what Run Me is doing is there are 16 steps going up, 16th note at a time to complete a full measure. You can see that there. We'll take a look at the actual instrument. First off, we've got a velocity control, and that's what in TouchOSC under the audio effect on the right hand side, there's that master volume, and that's controlling this, and that's just the master velocity out. We've got a MIDI effect rack, and this is what's actually doing all the different steps. So you can see all 16 steps that are going here. For each step we're going through, you can see in the chain here, 0 through 16, going through the whole thing. Our MIDI effect rack, and this is kind of where most of the magic happens. Each one of the steps on TouchOSC are mapped to these different instruments that we have here, and those are mapped to our chords here. We've got an arpeggiator that I'm not really using, so we can worry about that later. But on the chords here, what we have are 12 different options, and we're only using 8 of them for the different instruments that we're using for our 16-step sequencer. And then at the end here is another velocity, and the velocity on the bottom of TouchOSC on the first page, that's controlling this here, so that each step has its own velocity that you can control. So our MIDI effect rack there, and then an all-purpose rack. So this is where the actual instruments are coming in. So each one of these instruments are under the impulse rack, and what we have are 8 different instruments, 8 different sounds that we can use per instrument, and then we have 8 different instruments that we can use. So we have an impulse, a beatbox, a dance pop, yada yada yada, an Ellington here. These are what we are actually turning on and turning off using that audio effect. There were those 8 instruments that we could choose from, and that's actually muting or unmuting one of these instruments using this button here. That's mapped to. So, and you can see as we choose, we've got the different instruments here, different compressors that go along with that, and those are standard. And then at the end, we just have a regular audio effect beat repeat that's going on there with the different things from the beat repeat page that we can look at. Nanopad, what we're going to do with the TouchOSC is we'll map all of those buttons to each one of the instruments that you can see me mousing over here, and then from there you'll be able to control those live as we go. I need to do the macro scripting to do all this automatically, so I don't have to do it all manually. But that's the general gist of it. It's nothing too complex, nothing too crazy, just a lot of doing the same work over and over for each of the steps that are here. Alright, so one of the things that we want to do as we play more shows is take the iPad and put it out in the audience and give it to the people that are there, so that anyone can come up and touch whatever they want and play along with us as we're playing our show. So the great thing about this is we can do all this wirelessly. Let me turn this down a little bit. We can do all this wirelessly and no one will know the difference. You know, we don't have to have this connected up to this sound system. It's all coming out through the laptop. So we can play around and do whatever we want as we're playing along with you, and you guys can do what you want too. So just got the same beat, rocking and rolling. It's a little quieter. Kind of like that. We'll be incorporating a lot of this stuff into our shows, and actually the audience will be able to use this step sequencer live as we play, so that we can play along with you. So check the website www.themichaelramboproject.com and see when we're playing. We look forward to seeing you. Thanks.